Welcome back to another episode of Auto Repairs. Today I'll be installing a valve cover gasket in this 2000 Volkswagen Cabrio. The tools that I use to do this job are a 3/8 ratchet, a 3/8 extension 6 inches long, a 10mm socket, a 9mm Allen, a gasket scraper, a Phillips screwdriver, and a flat blade screwdriver, along with a pair of cutters. This vehicle came in with an oil leak, and I've traced it to the valve cover gaskets. How I could determine that a valve cover gasket is leaking is, well, it starts leaking. Sometimes not so obvious as like a steady stream, but in this one here, there's a lot of staining all on the valve cover heading down towards the cylinder head. The very first thing that we need to do here is we need to disconnect the negative battery cable. In order to remove the valve cover, it's being blocked by the upper intake manifold, so we'll have to remove the upper intake manifold. In order to remove the upper intake manifold, there's a lot of accessories that you need to pull off of it, such as most of the air tube, this piece right here, tiny vacuum lines, remember where they go, and then the air tube could come off. I dropped a hose clamp, but it fell down there. I can get it. And then once you have, all this broke apart too. That was something else that was wrong. That broke right there. Once you get all this removed, you can keep some of your electrical on if you can, and you could just lay the upper intake manifold over. I have to remove this hose and this hose back here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the throttle cable here. I'm going to leave this cable attached. When I pull this intake manifold up, I'm just going to slide it over here. Two more pieces I had to take off. One was a hose for the fuel pressure regulator, another hose right underneath of it, and the intake air temperature sensor. Just disconnect that. Okay, there was two more bolts here in the back. There's one that's held on by this bracket here. I've removed that one already. Yeah, there you go. Once you get the upper intake manifold all freed up, it'll take a little bit of force to finally get this thing to pop up. I popped mine right before I did this part of the video, but then I'll just set it, just set it just over here. Our battery's disconnected, you know, this is aluminum anyway. Don't really have to worry about it. Throttle cable, make sure that's not being stressed. You don't want a big kink in it. This could stay here, just like that. Perfect. Now we could actually get about taking all these bolts off the valve cover, getting this valve cover up, and replacing that valve cover gasket. Cover your holes. Once you get all the nuts off your valve cover, if you look at the timing chain cover here, there's these little tabs here. You just pry on those, one on the other side too. And then this upper timing cover should come apart a bit. You can take this plastic piece off. Just set that out of the way for now. And now before you just rip your valve cover off, note that there's these giant metal keepers here. Let's see if I can get this one up. You also want to set these up out of the way because you'll be needing them later. And you can actually take your valve cover off now. Now we're ready to pull up our valve cover gasket now that we have everything out of the way. One valve cover gasket. Now that I have this off, I'll clean all this out and get ready to put the new gasket on. Here's the old gasket, still stuck on the valve cover. We'll peel that off, clean it up, put on the new gasket, and reinstall. It might not look like it, but it's clean. I cleaned out this valve cover and the surface on the cylinder head where the valve cover mates to. So now it's time to install our new gasket and reinstall all our nuts and bolts, the intake manifold, everything. All right, here's a little pro tip for you. Here's the valve cover. Right here where the valve cover dips down, I'm going to use a sealant called, normally I would use Right Stuff here. I'm going to go ahead and just put a small amount of Right Stuff along the bottom of this little valley here of the valve cover, just where the valve cover gasket's going to go down. That'll make sure that this spot seals. I wouldn't recommend doing the whole thing in Right Stuff unless you had to, but just to prevent a leak for sure, I like to do that. That's just me. And there we go with that sealant that I put down. It really adheres to the gasket, so you can ensure no leak when this gets pressed on. Now I'm reinstalling the valve cover. I went ahead and put down 6 of the nuts that hold it on, but I need to slip this piece back in here that we had took out before. You can't forget that one in there like this. All right. When tightening down the valve cover, it's important to remember to put your spark plug wire holders back down into spot, and also the ground at the back of the valve cover here that went down there. Yeah, you definitely need to put those back on. I just finished tightening up the intake manifold. The bolts in the back, that one right there. Yeah, that other one's hard to see. All right, now that everything is tight with the intake manifold, there's a couple things that need to be plugged in, such as these 2 small hoses that we unplugged earlier, the intake air temperature sensor, the throttle body. Everything goes together pretty fast once the hard parts are on, but I still have a few hose clamps to take care of here. This whole unit I'm gonna fix for this customer here as best as I can. It's busted, you know, but what do you do? This is all, you know, it's ratty, roddy. It goes on right here. I could figure something out for him though. And then I have a few more hose clamps back here. I added this hose clamp here to this hose, but there's another hose clamp here that needs fixed, and it won't hit the throttle here, so we're good. So I'll fix this. I just reconnected the battery just a little bit ago. I started it, ran it, and checked the oil level. There we go. It's in the hash marks there. I'm just gonna add just a little bit, and then this one's all done. Hey, thank you for watching this episode of Auto Repairs. If you enjoyed the video, leave me a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a good time to do so. Thank you for watching.